Good morning, everybody. Firstly, thank you for the invite to be here. I'm very privileged. Particularly I'd like to thank Kenneth and his trust and Donald and the Helensburgh Heritage Trust for what's happened here. It's incredible. You know, I never believed this could happen. When I first came to Helensburgh and searched for a book about Dad's war, and he was the photographer here at RAF Helensburgh, nobody seemed to know anything about it. There was nothing to show that there had ever been a flying boat base here. Very few people that could only have the seaplanes on the Gerlach, but we don't know anymore, and I wasn't sure that it came to the right place. But when I researched it further, and I linked up with the Helensburgh Heritage Group, and they started publicising stories, I started getting a tremendous feedback. I'd like to tell briefly today, there were 375 people approximately at RAF Helensburgh, which was really the home of the Marine Aircraft Experimental Establishment. There were about 375 people, including Dad's cast. And I'd like to single out one story in particular, because I still research the subject. And there's a chappie called James Norman Sparks. He's only a young man. I found it particularly interesting because he was born in Coxtus, and I was born in Coxtus. So I started researching his story, how he arrived at Helensburgh. So he joined the RAF, he volunteered to join the RAF, he was a policeman, a young policeman, and then he volunteered for Bomber Command. And he was on a bombing raid over occupied France, and they were attacked by a fighter. And the plane blew up in the sky. And he was the only one that survived, and he was injured. And he was in occupied France, and he was befriended by a young lady. And she put him in touch with the resistance. And he got back to Britain. So they gave him a safe posting at RAF Helensburgh. And he survived the war. Now, at the end of the war, the Marine Aircraft Experimental Establishment went back to Felixstowe. But they had a few more trials to complete, so James Norman Sparks stayed on. And he was flying with Stuart Carswell, who was the most experienced pilot in the unit. And they were doing one more trial, and they dropped the bomb at 50 feet above sea level, and it exploded and blew up the plane, and they all perished. So I like to name him particularly, but this memorial is for everybody who served here, those who died in flying accidents and those who survived the war, RAF types, Wrens and civilians. One other person that I should mention was James Hamilton. He came here as a young scientist, got married later on, and helped design Concorde, and it all started with him coming here. So, thank you for inviting me. I am very privileged. Carla's here, my wife, and friends of my brother, to represent the father. So, thank you all for coming. It is really much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for coming. I'm Kenneth Bannerman, the head of the Airfields of Britain Conservation Trust. Now, just before Mr. Burt and I embarked the charity and unveiled the memorial, and I'm really pleased that he's come along today. As I've said to you, I've known of you for many years, but not met you till today. And if you just forgive me this very quick personal note, my family, who now are all sadly dead, and I, although we're based in Glasgow, we know Helensburgh very, very well. And I can remember saying to my late mother, around about 12 years ago, before the charity even formed, I just mentioned in passing that it was just such a shame that Helensburgh Airfield wasn't commemorated. So we're absolutely delighted with the tremendous help of the Helensburgh Heritage Trust to be able to make this memorial a reality today. This was a really, really important place in World War II as regards to the Marine Aircraft Experimental Establishment. Just to let you know briefly about ABCT, as we call the charity for short. In case you're not aware of us, we are the world's first national airfield charity, and enough to say we are making a real difference for the benefit and advancement of everyday society through erecting memorials, helping to save airfields and just being a charity, just helping society in general. Our airfields are enormously important to every single one of us. But the terrible tragedy is until more recent times they were just at best taken for granted, if even that. That's a terrible state of affairs to have. But thankfully people are now belatedly, but better late than never, beginning to realise just how incredibly important these places are. Even if, as in the case of Helensburgh today, it is now disused. Because it's not just about the military side of life, hugely important as that is, but also everyday social life. We simply cannot afford to lose our airfields, whether they are active or, as now long been the case here at Helensburgh, disused. And therefore I can only say to you in conclusion that please do all you possibly can to help honour and save our airfields and all the people who served at them. Because always remember, if nothing else, with how they help us in everyday society, by helping them, you are helping yourselves. It's that simple. So therefore, we're really pleased to be now able to unveil this memorial, which is now our 60th memorial. Hundreds more to come. We're moving as fast as we can to what is now yet another of Britain's top physical assets, the one and only Helensburgh Airfield. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
ladies and gentlemen, I'll just make a few words on behalf of Helensburgh Heritage Trust. I'm Stuart Noble, the treasurer of the Heritage Trust, and we're delighted to have this memorial here. It's been something that we've been meaning to do for many, many years, but other things just seem to have come up on the way in between, and we never quite got round to it. And then we were joined, two new members joined the Heritage Trust a couple of years ago, Jeff and Trudy Thompson. Can you come forward a bit, Jeff and Trudy, because you did a lot. I'm staying back because there's a photo. All right, we'll allow you as far forward as this. That's great, thank you. Served in the RAF, and we got in touch with Donald Fullerton and myself and said, can we have something to commemorate RAF Helensburgh in the town? And we said, yes, please, you get on with it yourselves, we've got too much else to do. We didn't know at that time that Jeff and Judy were going to undertake a major rebuild of their house. As well as organising a dry day, there was a lot to get on with. So they just started looking into the possible source of the funding for this, and then suddenly out of the blue, we received an email from Kenneth Bannerman to say that the Airfields of Britain Conservation Trust would be willing to do something here for us free of charge. So we were absolutely delighted to get it. I first came to live in Helensburgh in 1951, and I was aware of two ugly buildings. Oh,
here we are.
We have a replane coming round, hopefully in a moment. Right, these people see what comes. Yeah, wow, here it comes, yes.
Wonderful! Fantastic! Wow!
That is a couple of days ago got in touch with us to say he would like to do a fly past at the crest in it, so his timing has been perfect. Jeff and Judy for doing the organisation, to Robin for the Unveiling, keeping alive the memory of what went on here, because it was certainly deserves to be remembered, and to Kenneth for putting this up. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
History back to life, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
You can imagine the Sunderland taking off.
Yeah, one of them is going to land there. We did a DVD a few years ago, wartime memories of local people here, and one of them, Bobby Brodie, said, you wondered if they were going to clear the land.
Yes.
Yeah, he said